Assalamualaikum. Welcome to this video tutorial on ASP.NET 4.5 for students of King Faisal University and for others who want to learn ASP.NET. This is part 30 in the series and is our first small project in ASP.NET about student request. This project allows a student with valid login account to add and view requests as well as edit his or her record. It's a simple project which students can use as a starter for bigger projects. The tools used are CSS, jQuery, TransactSQL, Other.NET, MasterPage, SiteMap, cookies, and session. To lessen the time of this video, typing of some codes won't be recorded. Nevertheless, all codes will be shown. Let's create a new website, file a new website. Oh, I hope you didn't get this wrong. We don't intend to use the project in Visual Studio 2012. Instead, the word project that we've been saying refers to a bigger task for students. Let's call this student request. Now we'll create and update a folder and inside it a SQL Server database. We'll call it student. We'll create two tables in student database starting with the students table with stud ID as the primary key and it should be an identity. Next is the student name or the stud name which is barcar50 and the last is password which is also barcar50. We'll name it students and we'll update it. We'll try to add some records. Start with Ali 123 and Mariam ABC. We'll create another table for the requests. The primary key is going to be request ID and we're going to set it as true identity, stud ID, so integer also. We have to record also the date time, and also the request. We're going to make it barcar max. And we'll call it the requests table. Update, update. Let's close our tables. We'll create another folder for the style sheet. Let's call this folder styles. And inside it, we're going to add a style sheet. Now again, to save us from the burden of typing everything, I copied this in the memory a while ago. So here we have two type selectors for body and H2 and one ID selector for the header. Make sure you type it. I saved it now. Let's close the style sheet. And again, we'll add another folder. We'll call it scripts. This is for the jQuery. So we're going to add an existing item. Then find your jQuery file. Mine is in the downloads there, jQuery. We need jQuery because we're going to use validation controls later. Okay. Then we'll create the global ASAX. So add new item and look for global application class. Add. Again, I copied the code in the memory, so I'll just paste it. It's the code. Make sure you type it. We can now close global ASAX and we'll create our first form. We'll call it login. So let's try to drag our jQuery in the head as well as our style sheet. And in our form, let's use the header to display our title. CCSIT students online requests. This will be our title. Then below it, we're going to create a subtitle. Let's choose H2 just for login. Let's go to the design. Okay, that's nice. Let's create or insert a table. 2 rows with 3 columns. This is for the user ID or the student ID and also the password. For the second column, we're going to use text boxes. So let's go to toolbox and text box and also another text box. The second text box, we're going to change the text mode to password. For the third column, we're going to use validation controls. Okay, required field validator. Let's change this to required field. That's the error message. We'll change the for color to red so it can be seen as an error. And the control to validate is text box 1. We'll copy it for our second control C, control B, for our second component, second text box. This is text box 2. Okay, next we're going to use a checkbox for our cookie. There. This is to remember our data, our ID and our password. Then we'll add a button that the user can click to log in. And we'll add another label or a label at the bottom where we're going to put messages. Okay, so let's now something I forgot in the login or we forgot in the login. We have to drag one of the tables so that we can have an automatic connection string. Let's drag students and we will delete it later also. Delete it, delete it. Now let's go to the code behind. Again, I copied something in the memory, so I'll just paste it. If you noticed, we've added this web configuration data SQL client, and web security. This one is for cookies. Also, now we have this strcon variable, which is string that contains our connection string. Okay, let's go back to login and double click this button to create the event. Again, I copied something from the memory a while ago. So what is it doing? We made the connection, the SQL command. We selected only one value, and that is the stud name from the table, where our stud ID is equal to these parameters, which will be the values of the text boxes, right? Text box 1 for the student ID and text box 2 for the password. So we use execute scalar because we need only one value, and that value is now in variable name. So there's a condition here. If this name is null or empty, then we will say it's an invalid student ID or password, meaning a failure in the login. Otherwise, we will try to see if the checkbox is checked. If it is, then we're going to save our values in our cookies. Now, these are predefined values already in ASP, so you have to use this. Uh, if you notice, we're using the student ID, but we're using this variable uname. And the second is PWD. So you have to constantly use this words uname and PWD. So we'll save the value of text box 1 that text in uname. This is actually the student ID. And in text, the text box 2 that text value in our password. That is in PWD. We also have to set the expires. Otherwise, the values will not be saved in your hard disk. The cookies will be made, but they will not be saved in the hard disk. That's why you have to use this expires. And then um, we're going to add stud ID and stud name for our session variables. They will be from textbox1.text, and the stud name is from our name, the one that we got from our SQL statement. The last statement redirects an authenticated user back to the originally requesting URL. That is what we're going to do in the master page later. But for now, what if there are some values in the cookies? The code is this one. If it is not post back and there are already some values in our cookies, then those values will be placed in textbox1.text and in textbox2.text. Okay, this time we will create a sitemap. So we'll add a new item. Let's look for a sitemap there. Add. So we'll start with the sitemap node for uh, our home. Let's call it default.aspx. Let's just say that it's home. And then we'll have two more. One for the add request that aspx. This is where a student can add a request, and the other will be to show all requests, and we'll call it show requests that aspx. Okay, so we now have our sitemap. Let's create our master page. Add new item, master page, add. So we will drag in the header our style sheet. Okay, we need that. And then in our form, let's have a header here. ID is equal to header. Let's use this title, same title, CCSIT students online requests. And let's close this div. We will just delete this div. And we'll have another one for our table. Okay, we'll insert the table. Let's go to the design. Okay, let's insert the table with one row and two columns. Okay, let's go back to the source. Oh, okay, that's it. That's it. Now in our first TD, let's use be align. Just type it, please stop. And the width is equal to 25%. And then our style is equal to background color colon white. Okay, that's it. And then let's just say welcome slash td. And then for the second td, let's also align it, be aligned equal to top. And then inside this td, we're going to place this content placeholder. Okay, cut it and place it inside that td. And also its ending tag, cut it. Okay. Okay, let's go to the design view. And this time we're going to add a label after the welcome there, label. We'll just delete its initial values. And we will also add after this one a link button. This is for log out. And below that, we're going to add a sitemap data source, which you can see from the data. Yeah, there. After the sitemap data source, um, we'll add a tree view from navigation. And our data source, we'll use sitemap data source. And then here, we're going to put the sitemap path. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to the code behind. We need to add system dot web dot security, and let's double click log out. Okay. Again, I copied this something from the memory. Here's the code. For link button, it's simply going to sign out and it will go back to login ASPX. But when you load it, and there is this value for the session student name, then sorry, if there is no value in the student name, then we will go to login.aspx. Otherwise, we will put the value inside the label one.txt. Okay, now we're going to create our default web form. Add new item. Okay, that's default web form, and we're going to use the master page that we just did. So click OK. Okay, so in our content two, uh, let's start with the header h2 home. Okay, let's put some break, and then let's just type some data. Thank you for visiting this site. Let's break. Let's have another break, and then please feel free to add your requests. The dean's secretary promptly responds to your requests. Okay, I guess that's it. Now we're ready to create our second web form. Add request, add new item, another web form. This is for add request. Select master page, add. Okay. Now let's go to the content 2 also. We'll have another header to add request. Okay. Let's go to the design view. Okay, that looks good. We'll add the table, table, insert table. We'll add 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay. And here we will add two labels. Um, let's start with student ID, and the other one is the date. Okay. And the last one would be the request. We're going to put label for the ID, label, and also for the date, label. But for the request, we're going to use a text box. We'll just resize it. Okay. And the text mode, we're going to make it a multi-line. Okay, that's multi-line. What else? Okay. I think we need to add a button. Okay, we need to add a button here. This is to add. Okay, let's create an event for this one. Again, I copied something on the memory, so I'll just paste it. So what happened here? Uh, so we added this configuration, data SQL client, and data. We had this connection string. Uh, when we are in the add request, label 2, what is this label 2? This one. This label 2 and label 3, right? Because this is already label 1, which is in the master page. So in label 2, we're going to put the value of the student ID from the session, while in label 3, we will put the date and time now. Then using the .NET SQL connection, we're going to create this command. We will insert into requests the three fields. The request ID is an identity, so we don't need to insert it, and the values will be coming from these parameters from label 2, from label 3, and of course our request from textbox1.text, and then we're going to respond with one record added. Okay, that is add requests. Now another would be the show request. So add again a new item, web form. This time it's show requests that ASPX master page. Okay. Then again in content 2, we're going to use another header to show all requests. Okay. Now let's go to the design. We will drag here our request table, but we will delete the grid view. Okay. We'll delete the grid view, and instead we're going to use the details view. Where is that details view? From data. Okay, from data. Let's use for auto format what? Classic. Okay. And then for the data source, we're going to use SQL data source. We will enable paging. Okay. Now look at this one. So that we can only see what was requested by this particular student, we will configure the data source. Click next. And then in the where clause, we're going to select the column stud ID, and the value will get it from the session, from our session stud ID session, and then in our session field, we'll type stud ID. Okay, and then click add. There it is now. Then OK, and next, and finish. Okay, so let's try to run now our system. Okay, so let's start with 1. This is Ali. The password is 123. We'll check remember me, log in. So now we are in the default web form or in our home. Why is there no add request? Let's try to log out. Remembered, right? It was remembered. Log in again. Let's add request. Okay. Uh, please open the laboratory during late hours. Let's add it. Okay, one record added. Okay, let's log out. Let's close it. We were not able to see the show all request nodes, so maybe the problem is inside the website map, in the site map. Yeah, here. It's there, but there is no title. That's why it cannot be seen. Okay, Control S. Now let's try to run it again. Control F5. This time, let's use Mariam 2 and ABC. Remember me, log in. Welcome, Mariam. There. Show all requests. Of course, she doesn't have right now anything. Add request. This is for Mariam. Uh, Please provide more computers. Let's add. Let's show all the requests there. Let's add another request for Mariam. Please give students an area to study. Add. Now let's look at all her requests. Yeah, so there are two. Provide more computers and an area to study. Now let's log out. This time let's log in as Ali. 123. Log in. Let's see the request of Ali. There's only one. Please open the lab during late hours. Good. Okay, so this time we're going to create an update record ASPX. So let's add another web form. Add a new item. Web form. This is update record that ASPX. Add. Okay, update record. So for this update record, here in our content 2, again, we're going to use H2. Um, Update my record. Update my record. Okay. But before we continue with this, with like we should do some modification in our sitemap. Let's go to our sitemap. Here, we need to add another sitemap node. This is to update record. Update record that ASPX. This is to update my record. Okay. Then we also need to go back to the login. Okay, there login, because we need to add another session value for the password. So session that add, let's call it a password. Uh, it will come from textbox2 dot text. Okay. Okay, I guess that's it. We can now go back to update record.aspx. Let's go to the design view. Update my record. Again, let's add a table with 2 rows and 2 columns. In here, we'll put, of course, we will allow him to change only the student name and the password, not the student ID. So here, we will use some text box, okay, for the username and also for the password. And then we need also a button. Let's add a button. Okay, this button will be to update. Correct. This will update. Correct. Okay, so let's double click the button. Again, I copied something in the memory for the code, so I'll just paste it again. So what happened here? We added web configuration, data and data SQL client. Again, we created this connection string strcon. So if it is not post back, we're going to put the values of the session variables stud name and password to our text box 1 and text box 2. Then, once the button update is clicked, we're going to update the values of stud name and password using the value from the session. Stud ID, and then the name text box 1 and password is text box to that text. And then we're going to respond a message that the record has been updated. and a change will occur in the next login. So make sure you type these codes. Let's try to run our system. Okay, not this one. Let's go to our login and run again. We'll use Ali. Remember me, log in. Let's update the record of Ali. Okay, the password is 123. Let's change it to 1234. Update. Record updated. Change will occur in the next login. Log out. So here, what the cookie remembers is the old password. If we log in, sorry, but if we make it now 1234 and we log in, got it. That's now the password of Ali. So again, you can add a request for Ali. Uh, Please give our schedule earlier. Add. Let's see all the requests of Ali. We have two, one, and two. And again, he can update the record. Well, congratulations. We just finished the first project about students' requests in ASP.NET. I hope this will help you in creating bigger projects in ASP.NET. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Masalam.